with a total of 135 disturbance calls in all. We responded to 11 suicidal subjects and handled 6 different violations of restraining orders. If you'll notate under the volunteer hours for LPD, this number was 0 for the first month in a long time, primarily because it was a month of Motorcycle Week, and people were busy. I'd like to notate that Michelle Cardinal did she's the president of the New Hampshire Dare Association, and she conducted they have an annual conference, which is a 2-day conference that they conducted up in Conway of this year, and she put a lot of that time, or none of that time was logged in our tracking system for volunteer hours, but I know I personally witnessed her at the station a lot after shift and before shift, preparing for that conference, and I know it was in the dozens of hours that she volunteered to put in that conference, and she brought some very big name speakers in there. Matter of fact, all of our sergeants went up to it, to the one part which they talked about a debrief on the Sandy Hook shootings in Connecticut. But she did a fantastic job with the conference, and I've heard nothing but great reviews about the whole 2-day conference, so I just want to highlight that. Our volunteer services unit volunteered 25 3/4 hours for the month and served 17 total victims.
Monthly fleet report.
Our 3 new cars are in the process of being ordered that were approved with this year's budget. Other than that, I don't have anything for the fleet report.
Criminal Investigative Unit Statistics, Lieutenant Sweat.
Any questions? Except for you, Commissioner Tar. You asked too many questions.
I'm always jump ahead of myself. I'd like to get right to the meat of the matter.
Monthly Patrol Division Statistics. Chief?
So we responded to a total of 1,728 calls for service for the month of June, which was down slightly from last year for the same month, and handled a total of 351 criminal cases that we investigated, which was up just slightly from the same month of last year. We made 155 arrests for the month of June, which was up considerably from the previous corresponding month last year. In addition, our motor vehicle enforcement, we conducted 633 different motor vehicle stops, which was again up from 511. We covered 65 total accidents and issued 278 parking tickets.
Let's hope that all that enforcement and action in the motor vehicle arena cuts down on the number of accidents. That seemed like a lot for you for a city this size, Chief?
You know,
65 in a month with 28 injuries, or?
yeah, you know, I mean, it's certainly high, but certainly distracted driving plays a huge part in that. I mean, you can drive around all day long, you see people on their cell phones still. We saw a huge decline when that law went into effect in last July, but you can see people doing that. Lieutenant Sweat has been working to renew the highway safety grants, which is those step details designed specifically for distracted driving and impaired driving. So,
Actually, I took the liberty to show the accident breakdown by cause to my 16-year-old grandson, who just got a license a few months ago. And I said, here are the most common reasons in Laconia why people get in accidents. And I asked him, how are you doing with all this stuff? He said, well, I'm not doing any texting or not using my phone. I said, good.
Budget printout. Chief?
we ended last year on a good note. We were slightly under budget, and this year it's brand new.
Monthly traffic statistics.
So we had 28 accidents with injury in the month of June, and 65 total. We issued 278 parking tickets. We're still working through the parking kiosks up in the Weirs. And the community resource officers are hard at work on all of that stuff, so.
Chief, I just wondered, anybody, there was a letter in yesterday's Sun, I think, from a guy up in, the issue was parking kiosks up in the Weirs. And it was a pretty long letter about the frustration he had. He was trying to board the Mount Washington and some visiting family and friends and couldn't get the kiosk to work. And the point is, he called the department at some point, it sounded like. And there was some confusion about who oversees the parking enforcement or parking assistance, or is there a parking division? And I was wondering if someone might reach out to the guy. I don't know if he's
Yeah, I don't know if
local, but I don't remember. I think he had family visiting him, was my recollection.
Yeah, I read the letter.
I read the same letter. We're working to address that with
Yeah.
the confusion with our dispatcher that took that call.
Okay.
I think the gentleman was from Bow, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
yeah, right. I used to live there, so you don't need to explain.
You know, I mean, certainly there's been, some small hiccups along the way, as anything with that's
Sure.
being implemented. But certainly, I was up in the Weirs a few days ago. I talked to some folks up there, and I think the general consensus is that the parking kiosks are fairly user-friendly. Things are fairly well-marked. And I talked to the gentleman that was working at the railroad station as well, and I think he's fielded a few complaints, but overall, I think it's been a pretty smooth implementation.
I used it twice, with the same night, because my daughter forgot something at my house, we're going to the Mount. So we parked, brought them to get tickets, and had enough time to go back home to get it, parked again, paid again. It took me 30 seconds, really, to do the thing and put the money in, put the credit card in. It's very-
And it's like anything else, anything that's new, that's implemented, it takes a little while for it to...
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a learning curve to it, but
Do we have parking enforcement officers or
we do. We hire them,
civilian people?
they are. There's 3 of them that we hire for the summer.
Correspondence to and from the department, chief.
So we had,
All good letters.
there was a few letters. One was from complimenting John Howe. John Howe got very involved with the Pleasant Street School this year. He would go in and read to the kids during his uncommitted time, and just kind of adopted the school and spent a lot of time over there, and it led to a conversation with some of the staff over there, and he wound up making, John is a pretty talented craftsman, and he made signs for their trails out back behind the school, so there was a letter thanking him for that. As well as one for Captain Grayton, who worked on an issue with a drone flying around up in the Weirs. And I think there was a few other thank you letters.
Are you any relation to the Hatfields and McCoys? Dear Chief Hatfield.
Yes, from Amos McCoy. I was looking for the Amos McCoy signature.
Oh, another nice letter. And all of the report cards,
Report cards are all great.
all great.
Yep.
I wish my report card was that good when I was in school.
Yeah, they were all A's this time.
They throw out the sweat cards that come in.
I get the mail every day. What a coincidence.
You screen these before we get to see them, right?
And several thank yous to other departments for providing assistance during Motorcycle Week.
Yeah, I think that the thank yous are important to send out to the other agencies. We get a lot of support that we don't pay for, whether it's the federal agencies, state agencies, other local agencies that come here and help us, they come here for no charge to us. So I think that's important to show our appreciation to them, that they provide to us during Motorcycle Week. So we sent all their departments thank you letters for helping us out. And I spoke about Officer Michelle Cardinal and her volunteer hours.
And you also addressed the National Night Out on August 1st.
Yep, the only other thing I want to mention is that we'll be conducting an employee survey of all of our employees during the month of August. just to get some internal feedback, to help us guide our strategic plan that we'll be drafting starting in the fall. We'll be working on a 3-year strategic plan that will kind of guide us for the future. So I think it's important to get employee input and helping to draft that as well.
Is that independent of the accreditation status, or is that part of the, having a strategic plan, is that part of the accreditation?
It's separate.
Old business.
Nothing?
Chief, yeah, how are we making out with the contract? We making any progress with that?
Actually, we're going to go into a non-meeting to talk about that
Okay,
afterwards.
okay.
New business. Anything?
Nothing?
Confirm the date of the next regular or special meeting. is,
August 17th.
August 17th. Same time, same place. And citizen, other business, anything under other business? All right, citizen comments. Again, please state your name, full name, residence, and you have a period of 2 minutes allotted time for your comments. Anybody wishing to speak? There being no one, then I would entertain a motion to go into non-public session.
I move that we go into non-public session according to RSA 91-A:32, the Lacona Police Commission, and to lead a non-public session.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none, we go in.